catalyst was really I grew up as a musician. In the elementary school and in high school, I was a trombone player, and I also played bass and I played guitar. And most people get into this business through one of two paths. Usually it's either the technical path or the music path, which was definitely my path because I played several instruments and I sang. That's a good path for me. I graduated from college, but I wasn't a music major because back then there were only three choices. There was music education, which equals you're going to be a high school band director. And I said, I don't want to do that. So although some of my greatest inspirations were my elementary and high school band directors. And then there was the other path was music performance, which means you can play your horn in a symphony. No, I don't want to do that. And then the third path would probably be music composition, writing music that I wasn't listening to. I was listening to what was on the radio. I was listening to, R&B and pop and rock and that stuff. That's what I was. So that wasn't a good choice for me. Although while I was there, I played in orchestra and the marching band and the concert band and the brass choir and playing gigs on the weekends. So the music was definitely what led me there. But I think probably the breakthrough moment was I was working at a studio in Atlanta called Web 4 Recording Studio. It was they was a private record label, and they had a private studio, and they had they only had a couple of artists at the time, really at that point, that were kind of bubbling under. One was a fabulous R&B singer named Peebo Bryson. There was another fellow named Paul Davis, and at that time he'd had one hit that was like number 37. I mean, it was a great song, a song called Ride 'Em Cowboy, but it wasn't a real big chart impactful record. And so we started working there, and he was there, and I came on board and worked on several records. And there was a record that I recorded and mixed for him, and I played bass on. He played Rhodes, and we got a guy to come in and play grand piano, and a guy owed me a favor, and he played guitar, came in and played guitar, and that was it. We'd finished the record, and it was really, he didn't want to release this on him. He was kind of burned out on trying to be an artist. He wanted it to be released he wanted to get it to Lou Rawls, because he thought that would be a good. And the president of the label said, there's no way you're getting that to Lou Rawls. Finish the record. So we went up. I took the record up to New York to CBS, and we knew a string arranger up there. He did a string chart. But we already had fake, this was 16-track. We had fake strings on it and all this stuff that we had added. We still didn't even have drums. And so Paul said, I know this drummer from Jackson, Mississippi. Flew him in, recorded the drums on 3-track, mixed the record. The song was I Go Crazy, and it took me about 3 hours to mix it. We didn't have automation, 16-track, and I turned to Paul and said, sounds good. What do you think? He says, yeah, sounds good to me. Maybe we ought to chop out one of the choruses at the end because it had one extra chorus. Chop, and got rid of that. And so the thing started climbing the charts. For a second there, we were in the Guinness Book of World Records for, we broke the record for most consecutive weeks in the chart. It went to 40 weeks. Wonderful, Wonderful by Johnny Mathis back in the, I don't know, early 60s or 50s had 59 weeks, but we were 60 weeks. So we were in the Guinness Book of World Records there for a second. Paul taught me how to make records. That's the big difference now. There are no back then there were no colleges to teach you how to record, how to produce, how to mic instruments. The trade of making records was all just self-study. I mean, there were only 2 magazines at the time, and that was it. That and hanging around and asking questions. That record taking off and watching it crawl up the charts and becoming it got to number 7 in the record in the Billboard. So that was really the breakthrough moment.